Paintball nerd. Today's guest on Paintball Nerd started playing paintball in 1999. He started competing in 2000. And in 2005, he turned pro with Miami Effect. He's also played for Miami Rage, and he's been playing for Tampa Bay Damage since 22. He's got 3 pro wins. He's a father. He's a husband. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Marky Ireland.
What's up, everybody?
What up, playa?
How you
How
doing?
you living?
I'm living good, man. I got no complaints, man. Living good.
Dude. I mean, you're playing for Damage, so it's like life is great, right?
Life is good. Life is good for sure. Got some killers on my squad. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Dude, I remember you way back in the day. Way back in the day. Like my earliest memory of you was like skinny rage kid with the grill, maybe some gold chains. Maybe that was on the jersey.
Nope. Still got them.
You were iced out. You know, there you go.
Still got them.
No more grill. No more grill.
No. I had to retire the grill.
Yeah. But you got the nice teeth though. It's like chiclets going across.
Yeah, yeah. Gotta keep them pearly whites nowadays. You know, trying to live the professional life.
There we go.
That was a lifetime ago. I had the golds, but now we're growing up, trying to be a father, trying to be a, maybe a role model to some kids coming up, and wasn't so much of a role model back then.
Well, I mean, I took notice.
Well, I appreciate it. May have been a role model, but not all in the right direction. Maybe trying to steer them in a little bit different direction nowadays.
There we go. So tell us about playing paintball in the early 2000s.
Oh, the heyday of paintball, man. Those that know. As we can see, 10 Man's making a huge comeback, right? It's paintball roots. Growing up in it was special. Shooting autocockers, auto mags. I mean, every single shot counted. It was just a different world. But it molded me into the player that I am today. It definitely made me appreciate so many things. I mean, it taught me so many things about life, and it was hard back then. It was a different world. So I definitely appreciated growing up in the sport when it was gritty, when it was tough. Not to say that it's not gritty and tough now, but just in a different manner. Those that played back then, yourself included, it was just a different time, super early on in its, life of paintball. So many things were unknown. There was constant changing, where we were going from the woods to corrugated to, the first iteration of airball, where we had pipes running all over the field, and these just monstrosities of a field that we used to play on. I recall JT Field had a temple that was 40 feet high. I think they just had a reincarnation of it at Chicago ICPL, but just a completely different world that I had a blast playing, and I learned a lot. So it got me hooked. I'm still here.
For sure. Dude, I feel like, I mean, there's certainly standout players today, right, in this day and age, but I feel like the legends of our game were forged rather, in that era.
Absolutely. Agreed. A lot of those are still around today. I mean, you look at the top competitors in the league, and a vast majority of them were rocking and rolling back in those days, and they were pros and with pro wins in the early 2000s, and they're still doing it to this day. So there was definitely something to be said about what the sport did for those people, all of us. In fact.
Yeah. It's interesting because you talk to guys that, and I know that you have some of them on your team that have never actually played in the woods. They never played 10 man. They never played hyperball. Like, they grew up playing airball, and they play X ball. That's what they know. And obviously I'm biased, but what do you think? I mean, do you think that the skill sets that you gain in like the woods and 10 man, do you think that those skill sets can be learned in X ball?
I think there's a different skill set that's learned in X ball. I think there's some things that we did learn back in the woods. I mean, communication. I'll just say that, right? So when you're trying to communicate all the way across the woods, right? And slow the game down and have an understanding of finding the seams and where to break the game open on these fields that were you didn't see the players. Now we can't see them because of so many bunkers on the field, but when you're trying to see what's going on a over across the hill or something that you just didn't know, so you learn some things that I just don't know that they necessarily translate over to the X ball game. And to say that there's not anything to learn in X ball, I would be lying to you. There's a lot about the game that you can learn there. But there was just a lot of things that were learned back then that just are different. Sorry about that.
I call it the ancient secret knowledge.
Yeah. And there's a lot of us that still carry that torch.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it must be like, how does it feel to carry that torch?
It's kind of special. I mean, there's my son, he's a little young, but he's coming up, and he goes out and he plays at Legacy Sports Park in Lakeland, Florida, Jason Edwards Field, and we're Tampa Bay Damage, where we practice. And he goes out there and he sees these kids with these electronic guns and playing airball, and I go, nope, you're playing in the woods, you're playing on the hybrid fields, you're playing on the corrugated fields with a mechanical setup. And he's like, but why, Dad? Everybody else shoots. And I said, because you'll learn things that they won't. You'll appreciate the game in a whole different sense when you can shoot 10 balls a second effortlessly. Learning to snap shoot left-handed, and you only come out and there may be one or two balls. You're not coming out with a full stream. So there's things about the game that he'll appreciate more in his development than just coming out and being able to shoot in a ramping format.
How old's your boy?
About to turn 8.
So he's already balling.
Oh yeah. He's been around paintball. I have pictures of him less than a year old. He's been at World Cup every single year. It's the highlight of his year. Unfortunately, we no longer have 2 events in Florida. That was, this kid had 3 Christmases every year. He was very fortunate for many years to have, a national event in his backyard. But yeah, he's been playing jelly ball since probably 3 or 4. And against my better judgment, he wore me out. And finally I caved, and he's slowly started to get into it. So now he's just playing recreational, but he's definitely he's full-fledged. I mean, he sacrifices his Sunday to get in the truck with me every single week, ride all the way out to Lakeland and get out there and go play, and not afraid to get shot. And so there's something to be said for it. I say, hey man, if you're that dedicated, then I'll contribute to it, man.
Marky, man, what a giant blessing. Like you're passionate about paintball. It's your life. And
Absolutely.
Your boy is sharing in that with you, dude. How's that feel?
Oh man, near and dear to my heart, that's for sure. Some really cool, to be able to transfer that knowledge and gain some of those experiences. One of the first time that he stepped onto a field and went and played, it almost brought tears to my eyes. Just how special it was. It was just pretty cool. You just could never, looking back and going through all the years, I could never fathom the thought of, the next generation, my next generation being able to come up and grow in the sport with me. It's pretty special. Sundays are our mommy-daughter day. They go do their stuff, and then me and my son, Caleb, we get to go enjoy paintball together. And it's pretty special. It's definitely a near and dear to my heart, and it makes Sundays just that much more enjoyable. Not that I don't love paintball with all my heart, but to be able to go do it with my son is pretty special to me.
Dude, it almost brings a tear to my eye too, because like I think about, my son just turned 3, and he loves it. Like, whenever I'm watching, like, rewatching an episode, he's like, paintball nerd, and he's he loves paintball, and he loves pew pews. He's got his Nerf guns. I haven't got him a jelly ball gun yet, but like the path is there, right?
It all starts with the Nerf. I had 4 million Nerf bullets around my house, and then we went to a World Cup a few years ago, and he saw jelly ball, and he was hooked. He was immediately hooked, and I was like, oh man, I know where this goes. I know where this goes. I tried to keep him on jelly ball. I mean, we had bunkers for the backyard. I have 5-gallon buckets full of jelly balls, and uh, it quickly progressed into paintball, you know. But he loves it. He enjoys it. So, you know, I'm with it. So if he can be passionate about it and he wants to grow and to learn, I support it. You know, I mean, this kid is, you know, most kids are at home playing video games and hanging out. This
Exactly.
kid's in there watching BKI camps and you know, Go Sports and all these games. I mean, he probably can name half the pro players on the circuit right now just by watching Go Sports. So, you know, at his age, I'm like, you far surpassed me, kid. You'll be you're going to be a force to be reckoned with here sooner than later.
What a tremendous blessing, dude. That's so awesome to hear.
Oh yeah.
When did you like recognize that you became like not an old guy, right? But like a veteran? Did it ever click or just kind of happened one day?
When I came back, that was one of the things. When people would come up to me, I just was, you know, walking around, just hanging around, and people would come up and, oh man, I know, you know, hey Marky, how are you? Da da da, this, that, and the other, you know, and they would go into stories with Rage and me, especially, you know, shout out to all the Florida ballers. There's, you know, so many of them have just definitely, when I came back into the sport, been super supportive and been there and just kind of communicating with them and seeing them around the scene and so many people coming up with stories, and I was like, oh man, I'm not the young kid anymore, you know, and you got, you know, 18, 19-year-old kids, you know, coming up and they're talking to you about, oh, I've heard so much about you, you know, I watched you on this DVD, and I'm like, I don't even know that you were born when I was playing. I'm an old guy, you know. Yeah, yeah,
It happens
that's what it
quick,
really.
right?
Oh man, yeah, yeah, it happens overnight.
Man. Well, you've had a lot of memories in paintball created, right? Like
Absolutely.
it's one of the things we love about this game. So, share with us some memories that really stand out for you.
Um, One of the first ones that come to mind is I played with Static in the amateur division, and we went to Aruba back in, I think, in 2003, 2004, somewhere around there. Boogaloo, he's from South
Ooh.
Florida. Yeah, Boogie, my man Boogie.
Best
He
athlete
actually
ever.
got married at the event, and it was just a really really cool time. I was young. I came up, man. My mom, bless her heart, she worked hard to keep a roof over our house and or a roof over our head and food in our mouths. And you know, here I was, a young kid, definitely not from money, being able to travel the world and see things that I, for any other reason, would have not had the opportunity to see. I've been to, you know, London, Paris, Canada, and Skyball, Aruba, Mexico, so many of the states around the United States. And I mean, those memories that were made in each and every one of those events. I mean, I could sit here and talk to you for a week about countless memories that have occurred over the lifetime of, you know, being in this sport. But, you know, Aruba kind of set it off for me when it really kicked in that, like, man, like, I'm traveling the world on somebody else's dime, you know, in a sport that so many when I was young told me, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. I mean, I was good in baseball and I could have traveled and made it to the collegiate level playing baseball. And I decided to take up paintball. And so many people were like, what are you doing? And then all of a sudden I was, you know, traveling the world and was like, you know, kind of solidified that I made the right choice.
Give me a story from Aruba.
Um,
Don't get anyone in trouble though.
yeah. So I play with so Brian Smith, which I play with on Damage. Um, I played with on Static. I played with Joey Balut. He was on my team when we played 10 man. Just going down there and hanging out with those guys, and Todd Adamson coming down for Boogie's wedding, and just the ceremony on the beach, and just a bunch of paintball players having an absolute ball of a time. it was a good time. That's about as deep as I'll go,
Sure.
because I'm sure there'll be some people that will follow, that will watch this and go back and go, I have a different recollection.
Oh, always. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a good
All right.
time.
Tell me more. Tell me another one.
So actually, my first time going overseas, we went over to myself and Travis Day. Those that know, played with Aftershock. He's a name in the sport. But myself and him traveled over to London to play in I think it's a European NXL. Well, it just so happened that something occurred. They had some sort of national emergency in some part of their country, so they ended up shutting down the airports. And we come back from partying all Saturday night, zero sleep, and we walk in our hotel room, and the team that we were playing with was actually from Paris, and they're like, "We're going home." Me and Travis are like trying to get our wits about us. We've been out partying all night. It's like 5 a.m, and they got suitcases, and they're like, "We're going home." Like, what? So we had no ride to the airport. The airport was shut down. We had no idea when it was going to open back up. So
Why
they're
are they
like,
leaving?
they were going home. They were driving back to Paris. We didn't make the finals, so they were going. We were going back home, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So 4 of us, two guys from Paris, myself and Travis, get in a 2-door Jetta, 4 paintball bags, 4 luggage bags, and drive 9 hours to Paris or whatever it is, 8
Jeez.
hours, a lifetime in it. I've got bags stacked on top of me, and I'm just sitting in this little car, cramped as can be. We get all the way to Paris, and they assured us, "Oh, you'll just fly home from Paris." No. Paris was like, "No, this is another country. You can't just fly home from here." So we were stuck there for about a week. Had Angel,
Stuck.
our Angel, our sponsorship, sent us over some Angels so that we could sell them, so that we could get some funds to get on the train to go back to London a week later and get on flights and fly home. So that was a pretty interesting story, a pretty interesting event. And needless to say, it was my first and last time going overseas to play paintball.
Dude, okay, so we can't talk about Travis Day without talking about Kenny Clamper as well. What happened to those dudes?
I'll let them speak for themselves. Right. They're both great friends. We're a huge part of getting me into the pro division, teaching me so much about the game. They both have done a lot for me, especially in the early days. Kenny Clamper lived in my neighborhood. Travis Day lived a mile away. So we used to play paintball 2, 3, 4 times a week. Kenny Clamper was playing for Aftershock, and he'd just, he'd say, "Hey, Marky, throw 3 cases of paint in the back of the truck. Let's go up to Orlando Paintball," which is about a 5-minute car ride. "And let's go snap shoot until our hands bleed." Travis Day would come pick me up and say, "Hey, man, I'm going to this tournament in, wherever." "Okay, sounds good." I'm like, "I don't have money to play." He goes, "I'll loan you the money, and when we win, you give me the money. You give me the whatever we win." "Okay, sounds good." So
love it.
yeah, so both of those 2 guys did a lot for me growing up. I know Kenny Clamper is, I believe, living out in Colorado doing his thing. Travis Day is still, I believe, local to Central Florida, but they've both stepped away from the game, started living their lives. They haven't, I like to say, they haven't made it back yet. Exactly. Always the big yet. Once you're in, you never fully leave. You just aren't here right now. But great, near and dear people to my heart that had a huge influence and a huge part of making Marky for sure. So definitely give them a shout out.
First time I ever smoked marijuana was with Travis Day in Amsterdam.
That surprises me 0%. That is, he was Travis Day.
Dude, we went to he was staying in a different hotel, and he's like, "You want to go, around the city and, get some weed?" I'm like, "I've never smoked weed before." And he's like, "It's fun, you'll be fine." I'm like, "Cool." So, when in Rome, right? I'm in
Yep.
Amsterdam. Let's try it, right? So we go back to his hotel room, and he's like, I forgot if he like put it in a device, or he rolled a joint or whatever. I forgot how we consumed it, but I didn't know what it was like to feel the effects of marijuana because I'd never done it before. So he kept asking me like, "Do you feel it yet? Do you feel it yet?" I'm like, "I don't think so. Like we're just sitting here. Like I don't feel like I don't feel anything." So he keeps giving me more, keeps giving me more, and then I realized that I was feeling it, and because he was flipping through channels, and he
Too
wouldn't
little.
stop. He wouldn't land on a channel. He just kept flipping. And it's like, and the pictures are changing on the TV. And then I thought, this is hilarious. I just started laughing at him changing channels, and that's when I realized, like, oh, this is what it feels like. And I couldn't stop laughing. And he's like, "Oh, you feel it now," and that's my favorite memory with Travis Day. What do you got? You playing video game over there?
No. Somebody was calling me.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, dude, I miss the duo, the Kenny Clamper and Travis Day duo. I want them to come back.
Yeah, they were quite the duo.
Who's been your favorite teammate over the years?
My favorite teammate. I don't know. I guess I'd have to go into. I'd have to say probably the two people that I'm still on a team with, Jason Edwards and Brian Smith. They were. I've played with them since I was a teenager. I get to redo it at the pro level many years later. So those two guys are definitely awesome teammates. Really, everybody on Damage is awesome teammates. Everybody has a different niche, a different golden nugget to contribute to me. So for that, I'm extremely thankful. So nobody. I don't know. I've had some really good ones. You asked me that question. Who's my
Pick
best
a
teammate?
few. Shout them out.
Yeah, I mean some awesome ones. Kenny Clamper, Chino Carbajal, Ore, Frankie, Art. Definitely Art. Got to shout out Art. He shouted out me on this interview.
Yeah.
Adrian. There was some great ones. I mean Art again, another one that's just done so much for me in the sport. Joey Ballute as a coach, he's done so much for me, not just on the paintball field, but off, so man, I don't know. I'm super appreciative of everybody who's given me a little golden nugget along the way. So, definitely appreciative of all of the people that I've played with throughout my entire career.
Who did you look up to when you're trying to make it to pro? Like, who was a guy that you always wanted to watch or emulate?
He was my local guy, Kenny Clamper. I mean, you go back and you look at early 2000s. I mean, he was a force to be reckoned with. He was a young pro in a world full of not young pros, old, big, scary, grumpy men, and Kenny Clamper was out there doing things, I guess Kenny Clamper is to the East Coast as Oliver Lang is to the West Coast, right? Like Oliver, there's so many people, the talk about Oliver Ryan, but a lot of the East Coast guys, man, we all were Kenny Clamper. Kenny Clamper was the cutting edge guy that was doing things that nobody else was doing. I was fortunate enough to have a front row seat, right? He lived in my neighborhood. So, I mean, he was the guy that I looked up to, that I wanted to be, that I followed around, that I learned from. I just, I was the annoying kid that would just watch him at events, everywhere that we would go, at the fields, at practices. I would just watch, what is he doing? Why is he doing it that way? How is he making that move when these guys are watching him, and just pick that game apart until I could make it my own, just try to throw a little bit more flair on there, a little bit more outlandish, but that was my guy that I wanted to watch. I wanted to be, playing for Aftershock, winning at the highest of highest levels. I mean, I don't know. Kenny Clamper was my guy.
You know what I learned from Kenny?
What
Snap
you got?
shooting oranges.
Yeah, that's how my hands used to feel We used to do it at Orlando Paintball with an auto cocker, and we'd shoot 3 cases of Marbleizer. Do you know how many hand shots you get on 3 cases with an auto cocker? 15 feet away, and you can only come out one side. That was it. Chink, 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 high, low, high. I mean, that was it, Oh, bloody knuckles to a whole nother level.
So when I heard that from him, like he did that snapshot oranges, I had an orange tree at my mom's house, and I started doing that, and my mom's like, "Yo, you're blowing up all our oranges! Like, what are you doing?" Like, I'm trying to be like Kenny Clamper, Mom. I'm trying to make it. So, it's crazy, like how I don't know if Kenny knows all the people that he's influenced. It's interesting when you think about it, because we have, we've both been influenced by Kenny, but he's influenced tons of other people, probably a lot more so on the East Coast. You got to send this to him.
Yeah, absolutely. He for what it's worth, Kenny wasn't really that guy that wanted the
true
the attention, the fame, the interviews, the media. Kenny was at a perfect time in paintball, right? For what it's worth, that there wasn't a camera in his face at all times. There wasn't all this ask me questions. He's like, I just, I want to go out and perform and do my thing and be good at it. That was one thing that Kenny was previous to paintball. He was a top U.S. tennis player, and then he was a top paintball player, and now he's I'm sure he's out there doing motocross, and I'm sure he's at a very high level doing that. He's just one of those guys that just didn't want all the publicity, but anything that he put his mind to, he's pretty solid at it, that's for sure.
Marky, you got anything cool in your gear collection over the years that you want to show us?
Well, so what you can see behind me, I got a couple of jerseys. This one, pretty cool, right? And I'll show it, and why I think it's a little extra special is, for what it's worth, if you can see, this is the first year from the MPPL All-Star Game, and it's got everybody's signature. So, for what it's worth, kind of a one-of-one. You got a Rusty Glaze. What else? You got an Oliver Lang, Josh Davey. Got some JB. What else you got on there? Got some pretty solid names. JR3. Just some. For me, that's a pretty cool token to be able to have first signatures. And then I got a little something. Miami Rage, A1, Tank, Rage Stiffy.
The way that it's set up, it looks like it works.
I don't know that it necessarily works. My son got a hold of this before he got a functioning paintball gun, so it's got a little bit more extra wear and tear on it. But that's kind of my my blast from the past, if you will. I keep it around, that, and I showed you this prior, but for you boys and girls out there, this is how long I've been playing paintball.
So for a lot of viewers out there, that's a VHS. That is actually how we used to watch things on a television. It went into a large machine and projected the images that we wanted to see on the screen, kind of like the internet, but you needed this big cassette thing to go in the machine.
Yes. So that's how we used to have to go back and watch all of our film when we wanted to study.
Probably wore that tape out too.
Yeah, let's hope it still works one day when I try to go back and watch it. Shortly after that, we did go to DVDs, thankfully, and so those you could just repeat, and you wouldn't wear the images off the film.
Dude, DVDs are going away too.
Well, here we are, right? We're age of the internet. We don't even need it. We just stream it live and save it on the cloud.
Where it's up there, dude. Where is it at?
Somewhere.
Where's the thing with the footage on it? I don't know. It's
somewhere. Somebody knows. Way above my pay grade.
What is the cloud? You're in IT.
Well, yeah. Not in that IT. Again, above my pay grade.
Oh man. Is there anything that you don't have anymore that you wish you would have kept?
Ryan Morehead will appreciate this. So I used to have a Miami Effect Ryan Morehead jersey. Unfortunately, I sold it. So there's a little story that goes behind that. So we all played on Miami Effect mid practice. He gets traded to the Philly All-Americans. So like, well, you're not going to need that anymore. And I was an avid collector of jerseys back then. And so I was like, you're not going to need that anymore. Shoop. And I, got myself a Ryan Morehead Miami Effect jersey. And I kept it for all these years. And I have a friend who lives in Alabama who is an avid Miami Effect anything collector. And so I got back into the sport, and I was just borrowing stuff at that point. And he actually hit me up from a video that I posted and said, hey, man, you don't by chance have any stuff? And I was like, yeah, of course. Zero idea what things are worth. I'm like, yeah, I got a couple of things, this, that, and the other. And he spotted the Miami Effect jersey, and he goes, I'll give you a bunch of money if that's a Ryan Morehead jersey. And I was like, coincidentally, it is. So he actually gave me enough money for that jersey to be able to go out and buy a Lux to be able to get myself back into the sport. So for that, Ryan, I wish I still had the jersey. But
how much did you get for that jersey?
I got a good amount of money for it. Enough to buy.
You got a Lux. Was it so $1,000, $1,500?
No, it wasn't that high, but I think it was right around $700 or $800.
Well, I mean, Miami Effect Ryan Morehead jersey. That's worth it. That's just a lot of money.
I could have bought the Lux and kept the jersey. But it was one of those things where, how do I come home to the wife and say, hey, I'm going to start this new sport, and I need a couple $1,000 to get started. I was like, I sell a couple of things, and all of a sudden I got a tank, a hopper, a gun. I didn't spend any money, babe. And she's like, oh, okay, we're in. I'm like, sweet. And then Ryan comes up to me and goes, hey, man, you don't by chance still have that jersey, do you? And I'm like, no. God, why? So, Ryan, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It got me back in. I'm sorry.
Well, see, Ryan, you contributed to Marky coming back to paintball unknowingly. So thank you, Ryan Morehead, for letting Marky take your jersey when you left Miami Effect. Had a ripple effect, right?
Yeah, 20 years later, right? Still.
Yeah. Dude, it's pretty cool what the paintball nerds will pay for memorabilia, I think it helps a lot of pro players out when that happens. So keep doing it, paintball nerds. Helps.
And but learn from me. Hold on to it. Hold on to it. I got where's it at this side? So this is my jersey. My first pro win, Miami Rage gold chain. Still got the paint on it.
Let me see the back of that bad boy. Oh yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, still got the paint on it. Still got the paint on it.
That's just keeping forever, right? That's for your son to enjoy when he's older.
Yes, and that's why I say, don't get rid of it. I've been offered an absurd amount of money for that. Gold chain Rage, mine from the win in Boston. Can't do it. I learned my lesson. So for those paintball nerds, you keep buying, and for those hoarders, you keep holding.
Dude, and so that Rage jersey that you have, people don't always understand. Like, jerseys back then with names on them were so much more rare because the company had to pay a dude to sit there on a heat press machine and press your name onto it. They're not sublimated like they are today, right?
Yeah,
it's like took an employee to make that.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very different. What we used to get I think I got 2 jerseys, maybe 3 for that entire year. And now, we're getting a home and away jersey every event. So, they are different from event to event, which is pretty cool. Where back in the day, they were not, it was just kind of like, hey, this is the 2024, Tampa Bay Damage jersey. This is what it is. It's not that way. So yeah, that's why they're a little bit more desirable, is because there's a lot less in the pool, But I do appreciate the amount of jerseys that we have nowadays, right? Because not everybody is in a financial position to spend, $800, $1,000, $1,500 on a jersey, but they still want to support you, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that have, Kobe Bryant's jersey or, Michael Jordan's jersey, maybe not game worn, but they have a lot of jerseys where they're able to go and they're able to purchase it at a fair market value, whatever that price may be, depending upon the player. But to be able to support and have something, that connection, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely good for the sport to have that. And it just makes the older jerseys that much more special.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Marky, what advice would you give to well, let's start with what advice would you give to a player that wants to turn pro?
I think the best piece of advice I would get is you got to grind. Just like with anything competitive, there's 1,000 people fighting for one spot. If you played any type of sports at a high level, high school, college, travel, any of those things, you got to understand there's 30 people trying to be the pitcher. Paintball is a much smaller sport, so there's even more people fighting for the same spot. So you got to have it more. You got to want it more. You got to be able to go grind. One of the strangest things about me coming back to the sport was people play paintball on Sunday. I was like, for the first 10 years of me playing paintball, I played twice a week. I would go snap shooting, and we played Saturday and Sunday. There wasn't we go and we play from 9 until 12 till 12:30 maybe until I run out of this case of paint. No, we were there from sun up to sundown. We were trying to find a way. Me and Travis Day, we built bunkers. He lived by a lake. We went, bought some plywood and set up, bunkers so that way we could snap shoot against each other after we get home from school. I mean, we just wanted it more, and you gotta want it more. You gotta beat 99, 100, 1,000. You got to be willing to do the things that the others aren't willing to do, and utilize your resources. There's so many resources out there that we didn't have, right? I showed you the VHS, right? We I had to wait, 2 months to be able to see whatever that is, 30 minutes worth of film. You have unlimited resources. My young son probably watches 10 times the amount of film than what's on that VHS that I had to wait 2 months for every single night, between Go Sports, between YouTube. There's so many clinics, there's so many pro paintball players that have channels that are constantly dropping golden nuggets, so utilize your resources. Football players watch film all week long. If you think you're going to make it to the pro level and you're not studying your opponent, studying the field and studying the game, then you're just not going to make it. Harsh words.
Especially, it's true. Like today, with everyone having access to these amazing resources, it makes the competition a lot harder too. Because
absolutely,
not only is your son studying footage, but some other kid that wants to turn pro is also studying footage. Yeah. And so now it becomes like, okay, who can learn from that footage the best? Who can implement what they're learning the fastest? Who can spend more time at the field? So.
And you say field, but it's not always a field, right? So I don't get that misconception that it has to be at a field, right? You can make your own field. You can make your own setup. There's a lot of ways. Like I said, we took sheets of plywood and created an obstruction to sit behind, and we would snap shoot behind it. So those young kids, don't think that you got to go to the field and you got to, I don't have the money to go to a field. Make something. There's ways around it. If you want it, you'll find a way. That's just the simplest answer.
I remember I used to, when I couldn't actually shoot my paintball gun, I would stand in front of a mirror and come out and see how much of my profile was sticking out. I would back when shooting fast was actually a talent, I would sit there with my gun and my tank and my air off and pretend like I'm shooting people on television the fastest I could, both hands. So it's like, there's, like you said, dude, if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way. If not, you're going to find an excuse.
Absolutely. Yeah, like you said, I had a Benchmark trigger frame. I used to wrap rubber bands around it. And for those that don't know, Benchmark was a mechanical double finger frame for an auto mag. But I used to wrap rubber bands around it, and I would just sit at home, almost like a fist grip, but just walking the trigger and moving it back and forth to get that ability. Because back then it was much harder to pull a trigger. It wasn't a mouse click. You actually had to activate a sear. So to be able to shoot those fast was a little bit more of a challenge, but still.
It was a skill set. Like if you could shoot fast, that was like a thing. Like, oh, he can shoot fast, and
Oh,
today it doesn't matter.
absolutely.
So, what advice would you give to pros who want to have longevity in their career?
The biggest thing for me, and which is awesome that I see it, is training, health and wellness. It's just a different world. For especially for us guys that are getting up there in age, but even those that are still young, start taking care of your body now. It took me several years to be able to get my body back to a comfortable place where I could begin to train effectively. Because I didn't take care of my body when I was young. I banged myself up. I beat my knees up, my elbows up. We Super 7, man, we played on concrete, so there was, I've thrown my body and beat myself up, and I didn't take care of myself. So the best thing I could say is, health and wellness, take those vitamins, get those supplements in your body, get in the gym, hydrate. And that's just longevity in the sport, longevity in life. I'm a dad. I got a kid that, kids that are growing up, I got to be able to still be active with them. And I want to do that for a long time. I'd like to play paintball for a long time. But I think if you talk to any of these professional athletes that you see that have been in the sport for a long time, a lot of them are taking their supplements, they're taking care of their body, and, they're looking for that longevity in life all around.
Any supplements you recommend?
I work for a supplement company, so it might be a little bit biased. Zymogen, sure. Spelled Xymogen. Go take a look. We have tons of stuff, everything from your daily vitamins to your meal replacements. I take several different things. I take a daily vitamin. I take K2D3. Yes, I live in Florida, but I need more D3. I take Liver Protect. I definitely take my dosage of protein. I take some lion's mane. It's all I can really think of off the top of my head. What a daily regimen. Zymogen. It's spelled, but instead of a Z, it's spelled Xymogen. .com. Yeah. And I've been there for 20 years, and they make incredibly great supplements. And it'll just help with, keeping your body in shape and being ahead of the game for everything. It's important.
Cool. I'll check it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Marky, how do you want to be remembered in paintball?
A little bit of the old, a little bit of the new, right? The wild, young, crazy kid, dreads, golds, out of control, but also as the husband, father, supportive guy, consistent, professional. I like a little bit of both. I think a lot of people can bring a little bit of both those things. Bring your own element, create your own way, but be a little badass. But also, when it's time to button up the shirt, you know what I mean? You got to look clean, shake the right hands, and be able to have the professional side, because if you want to market yourself and do it in the right way in today's day and age, you need to be clean cut enough, educated enough to be able to shake the right hands and hold the right conversations with the right people.
What are you most thankful for that paintball's given you?
Friends, brothers, opportunities. What else did I put? Oh, and experiences. I think anybody who's been in this sport long enough, the experiences and the people are bar none. This community is a special one. Like I said, once you're in it, you never leave, and there's a reason for it. I think that's greatly attributed to the people that are involved in the sport, yourself included. But there's so many truly caring people that care about people. They might look like big, scary people on the outside, but most of them truly care. And if you care and you're willing to put in the work, they're definitely there to help, and make do anything. So many of these people that are in the sport, they'll take their shirt right off their back. I don't want to say any names to that, because I think there's so many of them. I don't want to call one or two out and forget some, but people, experiences, traveling. I mean, there's something to be said about you know, a World Cup event. You know, there's so many cool people, so many cool experiences just hanging out. I mean, there's just like I said, I could talk for a week about the experiences and still probably not cover them all, you know?
Exactly. Yep. Awesome, Marky. Dude, I thank you so much for your time here. Is there anything that you'd like to part with for the paintball community?
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for bringing me on here. It's truly a pleasure. I appreciate it. I definitely have to thank Tampa Bay Damage, Joy Blute, Jason Edwards, for giving me the opportunity, and definitely Empire. They do a lot for me, for my team. You know, no, I think that's it. John Rathburn, you know, I need to give him a shout out. John Rathburn's been there for me since 2000 when I first met him. He's been a great guy to me throughout my entire paintball career. So for him, definitely a special shout out because I definitely appreciate all he's done for me. Now being partnered with Empire, you know, it just makes that relationship that much cooler. So on that, definitely appreciate it, you know. And lastly, I have to thank my wife. She's the one staying at home with the kids. You know, she's she's the one that allows me to live this dream and you know, enjoy these times with my brothers and traveling the world. So for that, you know, I know sometimes she pulls her hair out, but definitely appreciate her and all that she does to allow me to live this dream. That's for sure. Thank you, babe.
Awesome. Marky, it's been a pleasure, dude. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Zyzek. I appreciate you. Thank you.